Hey guys, how we doing? Not specifically an item of tackle that we're going to review today, but I just thought I'd talk and do a bit of a review about some of the coaching that I've had recently. Now, I have had a bit of coaching in the past, and I'm not the type of person to be ashamed to admit that. I've had two different people who I've had a bit of coaching off. The first person doesn't do any coaching anymore. He sort of did it in conjunction with his old job as a bit of a sideline sort of thing, but he doesn't do it anymore because he's just too busy currently with his job. I'm not gonna name the person who that was, but he was very very good, to be honest. And the second person who I had a bit of coaching off is Paul Holland. So there's two reasons why I got some coaching off Paul and the other person, really, to be honest. The first reason being, where I grew up, I was from rural Northumberland, and there was literally no coarse fishing at all anywhere near where I lived. Any fishing that there was, it was either fly fishing, either fish on the local rivers, or reservoirs up at either the River Wansbeck or the up at Fontburn Reservoir, or you'd go to the coast and you'd try and catch some cod, and that was pretty much it when I was growing up. Any coast fishing that was, you were having to travel a long way to do it, and my mum and dad they worked full-time jobs and just didn't have the time to do it. Also, secondly, my dad was fundamentally the worst fisherman I've ever came across in my entire life, ever. And he'd admit that as well. So he didn't have a clue about fishing. So I had literally no one to show me. I ain't got any brothers, just got a sister. She was not interested. So no one really to show me how to start match fishing and coarse fishing. So I sort of muddled my way through fishing. I sort of got introduced to fishing by a guy called Pete Foster when I first joined the military back in 2004, 2005 time. And he fished, and we went to a place down in Wiltshire called Witherington Farm for the first time, and he sort of showed me the basics, how to get set up and that. And eventually I sort of started doing my own thing, a few of the local open matches and sort of stuff, and I just sort of muddled my way through. But I always knew that I was never gonna be massively competitive because I just didn't know what I was doing. I was sort of experimenting during matches and all that sort of stuff and just trying to get things sussed out. So I sort of carried on, and I just thought, right, something's got to change. I've got to get a bit of coaching and this, that and the other. So I spoke to initially the other person who gave me some coaching, and then I thought, right, I'm going to go to Whiteacres. So Paul Holland's probably got the most consistent record, successful record over the past sort of 3-4 years down at Whiteacres. He's won a hell of a lot of money down there, and he's got an unbelievable record. So before Paul started coaching, I knew him anyway. Sort of met him down sort of Gold Valley and that sort of place. So I knew him beforehand. But yeah, and he helped me out where he could, sort of thing, along the way. Sort of chat, text messages, and an odd phone call every now and then. And he'd give me as much advice as he could, but it was always, I'm the type of person who has to be shown something for it to sink in my head. I mean, sort of, that's how I learn stuff. I've got to be shown and I've got to do it to be able to learn it. It's no good just telling me because I'm in the military for a reason. Okay, I'm not very good at anything else. So that's why I thought I'll get a day with Paul. So yeah, we went up to. I've had 2 sessions with him. I've had a one-on-one session before I went to Whiteacres on the Bait Tech Festival, and then I've also been on one of his group coaching sessions that he does. That was quite recent. That was just sort of 2 or 3 weeks ago now, I think. That was down at Willinghurst Fishery. So yeah, that was good there. But I'm going to talk about both of them individually, just so you get a feel of what you're going to get if you do decide to book a day up with him. So I'll talk about the one-on-one first. So give him a buzz, and I said, look, I'm going to Whiteacres. I've booked on the Bait Tech. I need a hand, sort of thing. And he's like, right, let's get this sorted. So we went up to Tunnel Barn Farm. Now, the first thing Paul told me about Whiteacres was It's not necessarily about catching a million fish from the off. It's all about your mindset and how you approach each sort of match throughout the festival sort of thing. So I was like, champion, right, here we go. So I wanted to cover two things predominantly. That's probably the best way to go about it, to be honest, with the coaching. Speak to him and just say, look, this is what I want, this is what I'm not sure on, can we cover this? By all means, you can cover I think you could probably cover 5, 6, 7 things, but he's not going to be able to, in the time, he isn't going to be able to cover all them things in as much detail as you probably would like to. So if you go with 2 things that's burning in the back of your head, 2 or 3, you know, something that you can spend quite a lot of time on and get sorted for you, then you're going to get more benefit out of it, and you're going to get more, you're going to be more confident, and you're going to get more information out of them pretty much. So what did I cover? We covered the meat feeder and meat fishing. So meat fishing on the pole, like long pole and short pole on the deck, and then the meat feeder. So how we'll do is one-on-one sessions. He'll take his gear and you'll take your gear. He'll set up. We'll sit on a adjacent pegs like next to each other, and he'll set up his rigs. You'll go through your rigs with you. He'll probably then put you on your box, have a look at your rigs. He'll then probably chop them all up and tell you to start all over again because there's something wrong with them. He did with me. Anyway, no, he didn't actually. My rigs were all right, but just on one of that, he might do that, but he'll do it in a way which he doesn't sound like he's doing it in a good way. He's not being an idiot or being horrible about it. You know, he's doing it for a reason, and he just wants you to catch fish. That's all he wants out of it, for you to be able to catch fish. So go with that in the back of your mind as well. Don't, you know, he'll tell you to do things certain ways, and he'll prove that they work, which is the good thing. So yeah, we spoke about the meat feeder, and I was sort of clipping up to an island on one of the lakes, Tono's house, I think it was. Clipping up to an island, and even before I'd even put any hook length on, a cage feeder on or whatever, he's like, right, stop what you're doing. Your casting's wrong. And I'm like, oh, brilliant, sort of thing. So we spent a good 45 to 50 minutes casting. Not on the pegs that we were going to fish. We moved away a bit, so we weren't sort of trashing the peg too much, but we sort of spent a bit of time casting and getting my technique right and all that sort of stuff. And now, although at the time it was all very alien because he sort of totally flipped my casting round on its head, but now it's sort of second nature again now. So it's perfect. It was time well spent in the long run. Although I was getting a bit frustrated because I couldn't. The technique he showed me was different to what I was using. I was getting a bit frustrated with it, but he understood that, and he was quite accommodating towards that as well. He wasn't putting any pressure on you or anything like that, so that was all good. So yeah, then we eventually got clipped up and set up with the feeder and stuff, and caught fish. You know, he just give me a lot of confidence. Went through everything. Went through your which rods you want to be using, what lines you want to be using, your actual setup for your running feeder, your hook length, your hair length, the hooks you want to be using. There was nothing uncovered about going through that. Nothing at all. And I was completely 100% confident that I knew if I drew a peg where I needed to fish the meat feeder, I was confident I'd be able to catch fish on it at the end of that once we covered it. So we started on the meat feeder, then we went onto the pole meat fishing. Started on the long pole on the deck with meat, and then short with meat as well. And we just caught loads and loads of fish. Again, we went through everything. Why we're using the lines we're using, why we're using the elastics we're using, why we're fishing in certain areas, what bottom we're looking for. There was nothing uncovered. And I had, you know, I was firing questions to him all the time, and I was always getting an answer back, and it was just brilliant. You know, I felt really, really confident in it. We also covered all the bait preparation, how to prepare stuff, the feeders you want to be using, everything was all covered, and it was really good, you know. And another thing that you'll find if you get a day with him, he'll not let you go home until you're happy, until you can't physically think of any more questions to ask him. He'll not let you go home. Furthermore to that, it doesn't just end at home, because if you think of something if you think, oh Jesus, I wish I asked Paul that, get on the phone to him, drop him a text or give him a ring, and he'll get to you. You know, he might be fishing a match himself at the time or whatever, but he'll ring you back, or he'll reply to your text message. But he is only human, you know. He has got a life outside of his coaching and stuff. So, but he will definitely 100% answer you back and get the answer to you. So that's the sort of one-on-one days. Now what he charges for the day is, he charges 220 quid for the day, and he'll generally travel within a 100-mile radius of Reading, which is where he's from, alright? So you'll sort of go as far up as Barston Tunnelbarn Farm, that sort of area, sort of Willow Park, Willinghurst area. He's done an odd day in Viaduct as well down there. Not too many. I mean, he will go a little bit further than the 100-mile radius, but you might just have to speak to him about a bit of an additional petrol money for him to travel to where you want him to go. But you'll just have to negotiate him. So for your 220 quid, you get all your day ticket is included. You don't have to pay for that. All of your bait is included. So you literally just have to. You just have to turn up on the day with your box, your pole, all your bits and bobs, and away you go. I think I even managed to nick a few rigs off him as well. He didn't know it, but I nicked a few. But anyway, I also had a group coaching session with him recently down at Willinghurst fishery. That was just about an hour from me. There was 4 of us on the day, and it just reduces the cost a little bit, really. I think we paid, I want to say 80 quid. Pretty sure it was 80 quid for the, 80 quid each person paid it, and that was for the full day. Now, it's a little bit different how it's set up for the group session. Now, it's a sort of a cinema is probably the best way to describe it. He'll set up his kit, and then he'll ask everyone there what they want to get covered. So my thing was margin fishing, because of late I have just been having an absolute calamity when it comes to catching fish in the edge, just with foul hookers and just getting loads of fish in your peg but not be able to hook them, and it's just been an absolute nightmare. So I wanted to cover margin fishing. One of the other guys wanted to cover margins. Someone else wanted to cover short pole with pellets. And there's a lady there, I can't remember her name. She wanted to do some shallow fishing. Now the wind on that day was horrendous. It's like, I'm like thinking, you ain't seeing no shallow fishing today, love. No way. But it was just horrendous, the wind. But he managed to do it. He managed to get some shallow fishing in when the wind sort of eased slightly. And he caught fish, and he covered everything that she wanted to get covered. My thing was margin fishing, and it has sort of turned it on its head now how I approach margin fishing. Everything again was covered: the mix you want to be using, where you want to be fishing, the floats you want to be using, the lines you want to be using, elastics, all that sort of stuff. And it was, again, absolutely brilliant. You still get the same sort of after service, if you like. I had a few questions about it. I fished a match on the weekend gone, which was the first match I could get out to fish since I've had the coaching. I had a question, but I was doing my ground bait the night before, and I had a quick question with Paul. Messaged him, boom, straight back, sorted. You know, it was dead quick. And just as a point, I'll just go back to when I went down at White Acres. It was my first time there. Never fished a match at White Acres in my life, and I thought to myself, I'm going to set myself a realistic target of where I'm going to fish. I thought, right, if I can come in the top 60 or top half, I'll be relatively happy for my first sort of go. So the first day I've drawn on Match Lake, I've drawn next to Andy Power, and I'm just like, oh, of all the people you want to draw next to, your first match at White Acres, and you're just like, there he is. But I beat him off the next peg. So I come second in my section that day. I think I've had a couple of thirds. Drew Acorn, I think it was on the 4th day, and won the lake and the section. And I've won the lake and the match that day. So it was spot on. Last weekend, on Sunday at Viaduct, I've caught two. I've drawn on the open match. I've drawn on Lodge Lake, and I've caught 2 fish on a short pole with pellets. I've caught every single fish down the edge. Every single fish. I've foul looped, I think, 2 fish all day, and I've weighed in £160 and come second in the match. That would never have happened if I hadn't had that coaching off Paul. Never. No, not in a month of Sundays would that have ever happened. No way. So yeah, I can't recommend it enough, really, to be honest. It is just, yes, you know, people will be thinking, oh, 220 quid it's a lot of money. Don't see it as a lot of money, try and see it as an investment. Because what's 220 quid? So that's 4, I think it's like 4 section wins at Gold Valley. I think they pay 50 quid a section on a match, on an open match there. If you win a couple of opens, sort of 100 quid if you're going to win. There's that, and your result, you will start picking up money. You know, you will. No, doesn't matter what sport anyone does. You're only as good as the coaching that you've received, I think. And I'm a big believer in that. But yeah, he also is doing his DVDs as well, the Commercial Masters. I think $4.99. I've done a comment on this page before. I watched the Waggler edition where he was up. I think it was up at Lindholm with Andy Bennett, and he's caught a load of fish. The information you're gonna get on them videos is second to none. So I'd really suggest having a look at them. For $4.99, you're getting a hell of a lot of information. Yeah, admittedly you can't ask him questions and all that sort of stuff, but it's again, it's going to improve. If I wish there was stuff like that out when I was first starting out, because it would have helped me out absolutely no end. But yeah, that's it for now. If you are interested, Paul's got a couple of Facebook pages. He's got his Paul Holland Angling page on Facebook, and he's got his Paul Holland, just his normal page. I'm sure he won't mind you messaging him either. If you're interested in getting a bit of coaching off him, he's dead responsive. Just drop him a message, and he'll probably give you his mobile number or whatever, and you'll arrange a day and have a chat with him about the day and whatnot and what have you. So really consider it. Money well spent as far as I'm concerned, and I couldn't recommend it enough. So and that's it. Right, we'll see you next time, and we'll get a bit more bits and bobs reviewed. I'll see you later, guys. Thank you very much.